Hi, welcome to EQD Research Global Insights for Friday, May 28th, pre-3-day weekend. Today, I'm going to just talk all about VIX and pretty much what is the weekend impact on VIX. VIX is calculated using calendar days, not trading days. So when we've got a couple of days off, it provides a little bit of a headwind for spot VIX. When we've got 3 days off, we get even more of a headwind. But before I start digging into what's up with the S&P 500 VIX and 3-day weekends, make sure if you like what you hear today to hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't not done so far. Hit that bell if you want to be notified when these videos go live. And then finally, if you've got some feedback, feel free to put constructive criticism below or shoot me an email, and I will share my email address at the end of this video. I do want to note that today's video is all about a question that someone sent to me, knowing that a 3-day weekend was coming up. Now, as I sit here, the S&P 500 is up 0.3% to 4213. VIX is down 35 cents to 1639. The front month future up 10 cents to 1870, and the second month is down 10 cents to 2050. Rest of the curve, kind of flat. We do see a bit of a bump there in the January and February futures. I'm going to do some digging on that, but really want to concentrate on spot VIX in the front 2-month futures today. Why does this happen? Well, this is pretty typical for Fridays anyway. There's a little bit more of a headwind for VIX going into a 2-day weekend. It's even greater in a 3-day weekend. So the reason behind this is, as I mentioned, VIX is based on calendar days. When we get 2 days off and we get toward the close on the day, the market makers may start to tweak their volatility input a little bit lower to account for a couple of days of time decay. And they'll usually start doing that about noon or so. When we've got 3 days off, they do it a little bit more. And in this first table that I'm going to share with you, it actually shows what the average VIX change is before a 2-day weekend and a 3-day weekend, going back to January of 2007 through basically through last week. And on average, VIX drops 16.7 cents before a 2-day weekend. It drops 38.5 cents before a 3-day weekend. Now you can see that the month 1 and month 2 future before a 2-day weekend, it just loses a little bit of value. Before the 3-day weekend, the futures actually go down a little bit more as well. And that's probably in response to the premium that the VIX futures have relative to spot VIX. You'd expect that to compress a little bit as the weekend goes by. And so in this first table, I'm showing on average what happens for VIX, the front month future and the second month future, just on average before a 2-day weekend and before a 3-day weekend. Now, what about after the weekend? If we have a little bit of a headwind, what about the Monday or the Tuesday, depending on what type of 3-day weekend holiday it is? What about those days? Well, VIX does bounce back a little bit. The futures don't have too much of a difference, but the spot VIX does have a very different behavior. And here on this next table, I'll show that after a regular old 2-day weekend, spot VIX on average pops up just a little over 30 cents. Notice what happens to spot VIX on average after a 3-day weekend, up almost 75 cents. So gets a little bit of a tailwind and then some after the long weekend, and gets a little bit of a tailwind after a 2-day weekend as well. Just breaking down what happens before a holiday weekend, before and after, and how it relates to what happens on 2-day weekends. And you can see that a 3-day weekend does have a pretty big influence on VIX, a little bit less of an influence on the VIX futures, at least going into the weekend. So with that, thanks for joining me for EQD Research Global Insights for May 28th. Again, if you got any suggestions, feel free to put them below. You have to hit the like button if you stuck through the video this far. And then finally, if you've got anything that you would like to send directly to me and don't want to put in the box below, or maybe something that's a little bit more in depth, feel free to use my email address. I'm rhodes@eqderivatives.com.